Hey, this is Acronym TV, so what do you stand for?
As a recovering Catholic, I watched the historic 6-day Pope Francis United States visit with mixed feelings. On the one hand, it was fantastic to see a leader who cannot be ignored bring his anti-capitalist message into the belly of the beast. On the other hand, that the Pope, a figurehead for one of the most repressive institutions in the history of the planet, was somehow now framed as being to the political left of both Republicans, who were apoplectic that Francis was talking about climate change and capitalism at all, and Democrats like President Obama, who pay lip service to addressing the climate crisis while pursuing an all-of-the-above energy policy that is literally pouring fuel on the fire, shows just how possessed with bad ideas we are. Before I was a recovering Catholic, when I was a regular God-fearing Catholic 13-year-old boy, I watched William Friedkin's horror classic, The Exorcist, through the openings in an Afghan blanket I had pulled over my head while I was curled up in a fetal position on my living room couch. My father, a former altar boy who had seen the movie in theaters years earlier, warned me that I might not be able to sleep if I watched it, and he was right. For the entire movie, I desperately wanted to get up from the couch, just go upstairs to my panel-covered bedroom and memorize the storyline on the back of Darryl Strawberry's 1983 Topps rookie card. But I couldn't move. I was convinced that if I got up and turned my back on the movie, that Satan would instantly possess me, levitate me, spin my head around 360 degrees, and mutilate my privates with a crucifix. And I didn't want my privates mutilated with a crucifix. I was just getting to know them. A similar paralysis grips our collective imagination when it comes to tackling the climate crisis. To provide justice to those communities already suffering the negative impacts of human-induced climate change, and to turn the tide, as it were, and avoid bequeathing Armageddon-like conditions to our grandchildren, we will have to exorcise some demons of our own. Chief among those needing exorcism is the demon of capitalism, which is why that with all the encouraging news that the Pope brought with him to the United States, is incredibly disappointing to see that the Vatican will not commit to divesting its holdings in fossil fuels. You see, as long as the Vatican continues to profit from the business practices of those who are creating the conditions for the climate crisis, how can we look at the Pope's U.S. tour as anything more than a recruiting trip for the Church, which is going to bring more people under its tent who invest more in the afterlife than in this life we are living right here, right now? How does that help us deal with the climate crisis? Now, there are some very respected individuals from the left forming unexpected alliances with the Vatican ahead of the 2015 UN Climate Summit in Paris. Naomi Klein, the author of This Changes Everything, Capitalism versus the Climate, explained why she allies with the Vatican in a recent PBS interview.
What we agree on is that the reason why our planet is overheating is something structural in our economic system that needs to change. It is that growth imperative. Now, if you agree on something that big, you're going to have to make all kinds of non-traditional alliances. You're going to absolutely have to get out of your comfort zone, and that is happening with the Vatican, making alliances with people who they're taking flack for making alliances with them. And frankly, I've taken flack for making alliances with the Vatican because we disagree on all kinds of things, from a woman's right to choose, to gay marriage, to the right of women to become priests. But the point is not to say we have to agree on everything. It's to make a strategic alliance on something that is so big and the stakes are so high and time is so short that we can't afford to let divisions keep us from cooperating.
Even as the influence of the Catholic Church has been waning in our generation, with more and more people placing their faith in science over mythology, the fact is that the Catholic Church still has a tremendous amount of power, still has a tremendous amount of reach. The whole world will be watching the UN climate talks in Paris this December, and significant chunks of Pope Francis's encyclical were written with the objective of influencing decision makers who will be at the meeting. Let's grant Pope Francis with the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that he has faith that we will reverse course. I mean, hey, in his world, miracles do happen, right? However, the list of corporate sponsors for the 21st UN Climate Conference in Paris boasts some of the least climate-friendly multinational corporations, from aeronautic companies and car industry companies to fossil fuel and nuclear energy companies. Corporate polluters sponsoring the UN Climate Conference is like ISIS serving as the corporate sponsor of an all-ages LGBTQ dance party. Just not going to go well. So I have some doubts about anything effective coming out of the climate talks in Paris. Faith and doubt are actually dominant themes in the movie The Exorcist. Two priests, one full of faith, the other full of doubt, are called in to perform an exorcism. Father Karras is experiencing cracks in his faith, but it is he who is able to draw the devil out of the innocent 12-year-old girl and remembers himself just long enough to throw himself out the window, killing himself and taking the devil with him. Can climate activists muster the, dare I say it, force of God required to perform an exorcism on capitalism in Paris this December? The issue requires much more than hope, faith, and prayers. It requires the global community to do something I couldn't do as a kid watching The Exorcist, shivering on the couch in a fetal position. It requires the courage to get up off the couch and act, because the way things are going, this movie doesn't end well. Acronym TV is individually produced and independently supported with donations from people just like you at acronymtv.com/donate. And additional underwriting support is provided by Occupy.com, a news and media channel amplifying the voices of the global 99%. Find out more at Occupy.com and tell them that Dennis sent you.